Hey guys, how are you doing? This is Zed from Zed Outdoors and I hope you're having an awesome day. So today I have come down to see a good friend of mine and talented maker, Ali Asadi of Carving and Turning. Ali, how are you doing?
Good to see you, Zed.
You too as well, Ali. So, if you're not familiar with Ali, Ali is a very talented and respected turner. Now, we're at his outdoor location here in Stevenage, which is a little short distance outside of London, heading northwards. Now, I've known Ali for quite some time, so I'm absolutely chuffed to have the opportunity to collaborate with him on this beautiful spring day. Now, a few things that I need to cover before we get on with the meat and bones of this video. In this particular video, what Ali is going to be doing is showing his process for turning a wooden plate on a foot-powered lathe. This is Ali's first appearance on my channel, so what we're going to do a few things after I finish this short introduction. What we're going to do, we're going to look at a few examples of Ali's work in general, and then we're going to begin with the actual process. And what we're going to do, we're going to start off from literally a raw piece of wood all the way until we have a finished end product, which is a plate. Now, a couple of things to mention. Number one, as you can see, this is quite a lengthy video. That's because Ali is going to be showing his entire process with no stone left unturned. Now, to help facilitate that, what we have done is we have broken this video down into different timestamps. So if you hover along the timestamp section of this video, you can see the different sections marked out. What we have also done, we've broken those sections down in the description just below this video. Now, YouTube is a very cool feature. If you click on the times on the left-hand side in that description, the video will jump straight to that section without you having to manually scroll through. The reason why that's super helpful is because videos like this are designed to be as a teaching aid for you to use moving forward. The next thing to mention is I have actually filmed a video with another respected turner and a mutual friend of ours, Sharif Adams, and this was a few years ago that we filmed this. But what I did with Sharif is I filmed a complete beginner's guide to turning on a foot-powered lathe in general. And in that beginner's video, we talked about lathe construction, wood, tools, everything. So if you're unfamiliar with the world of turning on a foot-powered lathe, that video with Sharif breaks down all the fundamentals. So I would highly recommend you go check that out if you want to kind of learn more about a lot of the fundamentals we're going to be working with in this video. The next thing I will mention is that throughout this video, there will be some things and references and resources, etc., that Ali will mention to help with this process should you want to try this yourself. What I'm going to do, everything referenced throughout this video will also be linked to below in the description. And the final thing I will say is a project what Ali is going to be showing today is something that if you have never turned before on a foot-powered lathe, you can do. The reason why I say that is because there are other items that we're going to also be looking at in a moment that will typically require you having experience turning a bowl on a foot-powered lathe before you can pursue other projects. With a plate, it's a little bit different. You can just go straight into carving that as your first project if you've never turned before. And the final thing to stress is Ali is now, and we're going to get into a little bit of a discussion with Ali about his background and his journey into what he does today. But Ali, as of right now, is teaching and making and demonstrating foot-powered lathe work full time. So this is what he does for a living now. So he really knows what he's doing, right? Now, the one thing I do want to stress before we actually now begin with the rest of this video is, and we're going to be speaking to Ali in a moment about his background, but English is not his first language, so he's very conscious, bless him, right, about, you know, talking.
Shaking,
right? And it's also going to be the first time he's on video as well, teaching. And it's not easy with a camera being shoved in your face and saying, right, show us what to do. So Ali's a little bit conscious about his English. Personally, I think his English is totally fine, but he's a little bit conscious of that. And also just bear that in mind as we progress throughout this video. If sometimes things are maybe not explained in a way Ali would like, that's because your English is not his native language. So I do want to kind of stress that it's very difficult, especially if you've never been on video before like Ali is doing today. So with all of that out the way, we're going to begin with the rest of this video. What we're going to do now is we're going to look at some of Ali's work and talk a little bit about his background, and then we're going to begin with the rest of this video. The one final thing I do want to stress, I just remembered, is this location where Ali operates from is a working location. So if you hear things in the background with vehicles and tools, etc. Just know this is a working environment, and we're here during a working weekday. So I do apologize in advance if you kind of hear a little bit about that in the background, but that's kind of the reality of the environment in which Ali works. So with all of that out of the way, Ali, are you good to begin?
I'm good.
Right, so Ali's ready, I'm ready, and I hope you're ready as well. So I hope you enjoyed the rest of this video where Ali Asadi is going to be showing you how to turn a wooden plate on a foot-powered lathe. So Ali, before we have a look at the beautiful work we've got laid out on the table here, for those that are not familiar about you and your journey, would you like to talk a little bit about your background and what brings you to today?
I started like learning bushcrafting really. I remember watching your YouTube like 10 years ago, maybe a bit more. And one of those days, I think it was one of Ray Mayer's bushcrafting course. They teach you how to carve a simple spoon, wooden spoon, in one day. And I loved it. I just loved that little, green wood you got, and you start carving and making something useful. And from that day, it's been lots of spoon carving. Then after a few years of carving, then turning and all that. I think for like good 6-7 years. Carving and after that turning. But since last year I started to be like a full-time greenwood worker. Because
your background, you missed a very important part out, and that is your actual career, I should say, should be as a professional tailor. Is that correct?
I was a bespoke tailor for the last 25 years.
And for who? For Savile Row?
Yeah, a few companies there, but it was like Huntsman, then it was Richard Anderson, and all that. So I did like 25 years.
So technically you should be the best dressed turner.
I can be a good coat maker, they call it. Yeah.
So how, a quick side question, your general profession up until today has obviously been as a professional tailor. Has that played any part in the way you approach your woodwork?
It makes you be more precise and try to do really clean work, really. Other than that, I quite like, it's kind of craft tailoring anyway. I quite like to use my hands instead of my brains and make things really. It helps, I'm guessing, yeah.
And so you've made a transition from that into now full-time turning?
Yeah, it took me 10 years. But I did it last year, and one of my good friends, I wasn't sure to do full time. He said the man chases 2 rabbits, catches neither of them. You have to decide in one point, go which direction. And I think that was it. I said, yeah, this is the things, I love it at the moment. Don't get me wrong, I love tailoring, but I think I have done enough. 25 years is enough, yeah.
But so once you finish my 3-piece suit, you can officially retire.
I'm not touching anything these days, like tailoring and stuff. But yeah, why not? One day, hopefully. Yeah.
And just in case people are curious in terms of your ethnic background, where are you originally from?
I'm Iranian, yeah. Speaking Farsi. I know a little bit Kurdish as well, and Turkish, so yeah.
And how long have you been in the UK?
We moved here 1996, yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. And so coming now to the location itself, so I already mentioned that we're in Stevenage, which is a little bit outside London, heading northwards. Would you like to talk just briefly about the location that we're in?
So we've been in Stevenage for the last 20 years, and there is a village like 5 minutes drive from Stevenage called Aston. It's a lovely place. I mean, it's got one of the really famous old church here. People come to visit it. So I was walking around here, I find this place, and the people live here, Steve and Ben Hodge family. They run like a farm and workshop, and they got a few tree surgeons here. Ben is a tree surgeon, and they sell firewoods and stuff. So I talked to them, and they let me use to this place on the corner of their farm. And yeah, they are wonderful people, wonderful family.
So this is a location that you teach from, is that correct?
Yeah, I teach here almost every weekend these days. Not winter time, it gets really cold and dark. But most of the time, yeah, I teach here. If I'm not here, I'm teaching somewhere else. And I'm doing full time here, yeah.
So moving on to the work that you got here, this is obviously an array and a very small selection of things that you make and turn. Where would you like to begin talking through the work that we've got here on display?
Well, the simple things I do here as a teaching and making is just wooden bowl, a small wooden bowl for eating and stuff. I teach this for beginners. It's easier to teach and easier to get the wood and easier to, make a blanks and all that. And people love to use it anyway. Usually it's like a one-day workshop. People come here and I get the wood very local, sometimes right on the corner from Ben or other friends. Usually it's Ben. And this is a piece of nice sycamore. And yeah, they come here like 9, 10-ish. And we finish around 4 or 5, and I give them lunch and soup and usually sourdough bread and stuff. They having a good time and they are happy, and I am happy too when I'm seeing people learning new things and going home and they can use it. But then after that it gets a little bit more advanced. It's like cup, for example, cup without handle, it's still for using for cold and hot drinks. Then cup with handle. These 2 sycamores actually belongs to one of my good friends. I made it a few weeks ago. They're still drying, and after that I'm gonna oil it and give it to them. These are sycamore. Cup without handle, then a little bit more advanced. Then it becomes, these days I'm really liking to, there's few cups here like I've turned like Swedish style, and I painted milk paint like this shape. It depends what wood I have, and it's always changing. I don't like repeating the same things, and it's always a little bit different shape, different sizes, and try to use all the bits of wood and stuff. So these are the few pieces, but the things usually is more exciting these days is making locking lidded box. They are a bit more advanced. I teach them, actually last weekend at Budger's Bowl I was teaching this to few people. They turned a lovely box, which is, again, is Swedish. They used to make this like 200-300 years ago and send it to all over the place. And it's just, it's more advanced. You have to turn at least 10 or 15 bowl or cup or something or plate, then get to this one, and yeah, turn one of these. In this case, this is a piece of sycamore and just locks nicely. And this one is again lock and lidded box. Is walnut. I added a little decoration here, and it's very light. Yeah, I keep those good ones because I know I can't repeat the same things again. I keep it as a reference and stuff. Then it comes like pot like this, end grain pot with the lid. You turn it, for different sizes, different shapes and stuff. I got a few lock and lidded box again, like spalted one. People love spalting and all the patterns and stuff. I can make like a double or triple lock and lidded box again.
And that's for one piece of wood, isn't it?
This is like it's one piece of log, but it's 3 pieces. So it comes. I show you when we are coming to turning the plate. It's 3 pieces, and they kind of goes together, dry together. Yeah, we can make a triple one here as well if you want to. And I teach nesting bowls. These are a bit bit hard to make, to be honest, but as you can see, it's one piece of wood, half a log in this case, and this one is coming from inside that, and this is from inside the other one. And you can make a few nesting balls, and the pattern is all matching and stuff. For this one you need a special tool and more technique, and yeah. And these are the few spoons. I do still carve the spoons, you know, and I love it. But yeah, not much as used to, but I do. In this case, I quite like this one as well. This one was like a half a log, but the pith is right there, so it has moved a lot, as you can see, and it's got a lovely shape. Again, this one I keep it for myself. And the other things I do these days is making wooden flask. Again, these are a bit more advanced for when it comes to turning, and this is Romanian. There is a video with Stuart King and Robin Wood. They made like 28 years ago or something, and there is a man, he turns a flask. That was my reference. And Owen Thomas, he turns flasks sometimes. I was watching his video as well. These are turned from two different ways. One is this way. When the mandrel is there, you're turning that way. Then you take the mandrel out and you're turning this way. You're hollowing inside, and you got the lid there. You push the lid inside very tight. So when they dry together, you hope for the best. They don't leak and stuff. And then you can seal it from inside with beeswax and linseed oil or whatever you have. And yeah, you can use it. I make like 10 a year. I can't make more than that. At least 8 of them will be okay, but 2 of them always leaks or problems or crack or whatever. But they are very tricky to make anyway. But yeah, it's good challenge. This one is new. I made it with Nico. Nico was here. Nico is from Belgium. He's a really good turner. We made together a couple of flasks and stuff. Yeah.
And then lastly, we've got the actual plates themselves.
Yeah. Today we're going to make some plates. Yeah, we're going to turn some plates.
So would you like to just talk briefly about some of the selection you've got here that you've turned?
Sure. These are, I had a few plates. I sold lots of them at Budgets, to be honest. I had very different shapes and sizes. But this is a bit bigger one, ash, good size. Again, ash, I burned it. Had a little, but we're gonna make something like this size, more like very classic plate shape like that. About 8 or 9 inches, sometimes 10 inches, something like that. And yeah, this one is like walnut, is more like a pasta plate, I call it, bit deep. Yeah. Different shape and sizes. This is a little bit spalted beech. Again, lovely piece. Yeah, all the sycamore. Beech again, and a little plate. Honestly, those little plates, they are very useful. I mean, we use it all the time in our kitchen.
So Ali, we're about to begin the process, and so where are we going to start off?
We're gonna start with a piece of lovely big sycamore. For plate, you really need nice big diameter of log if you wanna have a nice and straight plate. In this case, this is nice and clean, and you're looking for a wood which doesn't have knots and bumps and all that kind of things. In this case, this is nice. I'm quite happy. Little bump here, I'm not sure. We will split it and we will see. We're going to split this, and we're going to axe out, and we're going to make a plate blank.
So just a couple of quick questions for those watching. So are there a preferred woods for turning plates?
Not really, no. I mean, I usually use sycamore, beech, oak, walnut, you know, this kind of things. It's beech and sycamore gets nice spalting as well. Yeah, whatever you have.
And so with the diameter, like you said, for the purposes of plates, and a lot of it will make sense as we do it.
Yeah.
But you were saying that it's important to have a wider diameter log to begin with, to take the pieces of wood out?
Yeah. In this case, if you want to make a plate, say, this is like, not too big, like a medium size. We have like 8.5 inch here. So if you want to make a plate from this size, at least you need like 10 inch that side, that way.
So this is away from the pith.
This is obviously, yeah, I will explain it later, but this has to be at least like 9 or 10 inch. So 20 inch at least you need to make a plate like 8 and 9 inch sizes.
So the diameter from the pith dictates how big your plate is going to be?
Of course, of course. So we have a pith here, is it there, and we're gonna avoid like good 1.5 inches, sometimes 2 inches, if I wanna avoid all this, you know, this is growth ring is going like that way. For plate, if you wanna make a plate, we need to make this growth ring is nice and straight as possible, like that way. So when it's like that here, you have more movement when you're making your plate. This bit is going to move, and you don't want that. You want plate which is nice and flat, sits on the table, and it's not wobbly. If it's wobbly, it's not end of the world. Some people like it. It's not, but if you want to make a good plate, it has to be nice and straight growth ring that way. So you're making your plate like that angle, there, and you're avoiding this center of the log.
And in terms of the greenness, the dryness of the wood that you're going to be starting off with, what are some important factors to bear in mind?
It needs to be green so you can turn it on the lathe. It's not electric lathe, it has to be green so it's not too hard to turn. But what I usually do, I make my blank and I keep it in the bag for a few weeks, sometimes a month. So I let it mellow a little bit, it loses a little bit moisture. So when it comes to turning, it's nicer to do the finishing cut and stuff. And at the same time, because it lost a little bit of moisture, so it doesn't dry too much, doesn't move too much. So you can have a nicer plate. But you can obviously just go and turn straight with no problem.
So how are you going to begin the process now then of splitting the wood?
Yeah, we're going to split this log and make a plate blank, something like that, this shape. As you can see, the growth ring here is nice and straight. So in this case it was like this, the pith was here. We're going to make a blank like that, we're going to axe out and we're going to start turning. But we need to split this massive big log, and there is a crack here. I don't know if you can see it. There's a crack here. We're going to use this crack for our advantage and split from there. All right, I got a couple of froe and axe here, and I'm going to use it for splitting this log. And it's a good thing is when you're splitting, you will see the wood, if it's nice and straight, how it behaves, which part you're going to use it, and all that. That's why I started by showing this part, which is important, really, what material you have. Otherwise, I could go to nice and blank and start turning, but this is the important part. People need to see it if they want to do some turning. So I got two froes. I put one from this side. Shall I go for it?
Go for it.
And go a bit more in here, and I use the other one for this bit, and hopefully it will split from the crack. And I have very big mallet here. Is that?
So is this how you deal with your anger management?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And I'm gonna use this. Just watch out. Yeah, going through nicely. One more. There you go. I'm going to use this wooden wedge. Now, you see that bump? I was a bit worried. It's there. So this is not ideal to use. This is a bit, is a good bit, nice and straight. Little bit of spalting going on. It's perfect. But I'm guessing if you split that bit, this is a bigger bit piece. We can use that bit as well. Oh, this one. This is nice too. So I'm going to avoid this bit, whatever I'm making, because of this, some kind of knot. It was here. That's why it's affecting this bit.
So for those watching then, they have to really pay attention to grain direction.
Of course, of course. Yeah, straighter, the cleaner bit is better. This is really ideal for anything really, cup, plate, locking box, flasks and all that. Is great, this bit. And the grotering obviously is like that, nice and straight, so it's going to help us to, I can get a one plate here, one plate there, and a few things here, and avoid that bit there.
So just one quick side question. Obviously you've been also a full-time maker, but to kind of maybe to talk a little bit briefly about the importance of using the wood up as much as possible.
Sure.
For different items.
Yeah. When it comes to using wood, because I had a really hard time to getting the right wood. I am really mean, honestly. I don't waste anything. I'm trying to use every bit. So if there is anything extra here, I use it for spoons or small cups, anything. So I don't just, well, it's going to be firewood, whatever I have left. But I try to use it. In this case, there is a plate here. And there is a plate here. There is 2 cups here without handle. And this bit is, because of this nut, this is perfect for a spoon. If you can see like a little bit of bendy here. So this is going to be used for a spoon. If I don't use that bit, I use this bit nice and straight for a few cups with handles and stuff. Or for lock and lidded box, this bit can be a lid for the lock and lidded box and all that. So every bit is useful, because this is really lovely piece of sycamore and it's quite big, and you know, it's fantastic. I love it.
So what piece are you going to be taking out then for?
I'm thinking using this bit here, this bit there. We're gonna split it this way, then we're gonna split it that way, then we're gonna use this part for turning plate. There is a nice piece here, but we will see. We're gonna split this and see what happens here. This is a bigger bit. We can use this bit, but we have to split it, and we will see. So you ready for another split?
Let's go for it,
Yeah.
man.
All right. Where is my big mallet? Watch out. Oh, that's nice. Look at that. Nice and straight. Beautiful.
So, one question I do have for those watching. So, if they don't have a throw,
Yeah.
is an axe suitable then?
Yeah, definitely. What I usually do with axe, you can get any old axe and stuff.
So don't use your fancy.
No, no. I mean, this bit or that. What I usually do, if I want to split, in this case here, I use axe bit by bit. Marking. Then when I'm splitting, if I put one axe here and one axe there, hopefully split from that line.
Okay.
Shall we have a go?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be good to see, I think, for people to see.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Watch out. Nice. So that knotty bit, it came off. This is more straight here. And it's even without throw, it's very straight. So happy with that one. We're gonna use this bit for plate. This is a wider bit. You can get a bigger plate here. All right. Let's split the other side. And I'm gonna use a throw again. So for making a blank, it depends on the shape and the size of the plate, but you really need, talking about 1 inch size plate, like that much, because it needs to be like a plate shape, otherwise it goes like a really shallow bowl. So for blank I go like at least 2 inches for blank, because what happens, we're gonna lose a little bit at the bottom when we're turning. I show you when it comes to that, and we're gonna lose a little bit on the top. So at least you need 2 inches. If you make 2.5, even better. You have a bit material to play around, like a design and stuff. But at least 2 inches we need there. So in this case, you got plenty here. This is like 3 inches. So I'm gonna go, because there is a little bit uneven, it's not straight, so I will lose a little bit here. So I make it like 3 inches. Then if I have a bit extra, I can axe out. In this case, we can go easily to here to use that, and we're gonna lose that much here. So we have 9.5. We're gonna end up hopefully 9-inch plate here, which is really nice, a good size for plate. So let's split this bit, and we go from there. In fact, let's get rid of this pith. We don't need that anymore. Again, it's nice and straight here. And there. Oh, that's really nice. There you go. You have one nice plate here. You can use this bit for a small locking box or flask or cup or bowl, anything. So I put them aside here. I don't want them to dry. I can use them later. And we have a bit extra here anyway, just in case if something goes wrong with this, we can always use this bit as well. Alright, what I'm gonna do, I know I'm gonna use this side, all of this side, except this bark, and I axe out a little bit here as well. So I know this is my plate size almost. So I'm gonna decide here if I wanna put some spalting on a plate on one side. I can use this spalting, which is, I quite like it, and go in about an inch here and use that bit. Or if I don't wanna use it, I can go right in the middle and avoid all this bit. Just in case if it's dried a little bit, there's a crack or something, but I'm sure there's nothing there because I kept this like in a bag, and the only crack it was right in the middle. But for safety, I can always go in a little bit and use this good section. What I did here is that because this side was a bit longer, so I saw this both sides a little bit to make it nice and a square shape for our plate. I'm gonna axe out this bit, make it nice and completely flat, and the same things here. Then I'm gonna mark it and see what kind of size I have. Then I will axe the rest. But one thing I want to tell you, which is really important, you see this growth rings there. This part is nice and straight, same as this side as well. You probably see better here, nice and straight here. So I use this bit for top of the plate, because I know the other bits like here, it's going to be plate is going to be kind of that size. So I know this bit is gonna axe out, and as you can see, this growth ring is nice and straight here, but here is more like that way. So I want to avoid this to use it. So I will turn this away or axe out and all that. But this is the bit which is nice and straight. I use this bit, and in this case I have less movement. I know I'm not gonna have any shrinkage this way, little bit on that side, but it's still the plate will stay nice and flat. So I will axe out both sides, make it nice and flat, then I will mark it and axe out the rest. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to just draw a line. It's like my guide here. So I'm going to axe out those extra bit here. It's not much really, and same things on this side, so I can see exactly how much I need to take off, like that much there, to make it nice and straight. I'm gonna do the same things at the bottom of the plate, which is there. So I have here 2 3/4, 2 1/2, which is perfect. And I do the same things here, 2 1/2. I will axe out the rest and get rid of the bark and stuff. For heavy, so this is a bit different when it comes to turning and carving, turning bowls and plates and things like that. It's heavy axing involved. It's not like spoon carving. With the spoon carving, you can have a little axe block, small, even honestly, just a little piece of block. You can do, make your spoon blank. But when it comes to plates and bowls and stuff, you really need to be go for it with axing. It's not an heavy axing. So I usually do my heavy axing with my big axe from Peter Kovac, sold with Creation. And for lighter bits, I use Oscar Rush. This one Oscar and Lee Stoffer made together, the handle and stuff. So I use this one for lighter bits. So I start with this big axe. Then when it comes to doing the corner, I use the little axe. This because this is quite heavy for small bits. So I'm gonna one thing I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make this bit nice and flat as possible. In this case, I can see from that. Let's get rid of the bark first. So I'm looking from that angle and see if there is an extra bit here, and I'm gonna go that way. And I'm trying to follow that pencil mark I made. I'm going nice and straight. And I will see what happens to the grain as well. So I can see the grain is going a little bit that side. So I can come that way to make sure I'm going nice and straight. There is still a little bit more here. Now that bit is nice. Here I have a little bit extra there. I can axe out that bit. And I can use, because it's quite big axe, I can use this slicing motion and get really nice and clean cuts. So I'm happy with this bit here all the way. Now I'm going to sort out this bit. It's almost, as you can see, it's almost nice and flat there. If you want to be very fussy, you can use plane and plane it and make it very flat. But the flat is the better, because when it comes to turning, you have less material to remove and easier to turn. Okay. Only thing I need to make sure this center when the mandrel goes in, this has to be very flat. It doesn't matter here, you can turn it away, but this bit has to be nice and flat because the mandrel sits there. I'll show it to you when it comes to that, but this is the bit I make sure there is no bump there. That bit there. Okay, this side is okay. I do the same things to the bottom of the plate. There's a little bit knotty bit uneven here, but this will come off with the axing. It's nothing to be worried about. All right. If I axe out a bit more here, it doesn't really matter because I'm gonna axe these corners anyway. I don't need these corners. This is the bit I need to make sure it's nice and flat. All right. Bit more this way. Something like that. We have a bit of axing to do later, but that will do for now. Okay, now I'm trying to use all these bits. I know there is no crack in this side and that side, and this is going to be top of my plate. So I will mark a bit bigger than that to make sure I'm using there to there. Perfect. Then from here to here, I come a bit more right in the middle, so I can axe out a bit extra there. And this here is there. So this is my center there. And then I will see what size of the plate I have. I'm guessing it's about 9 inch. Yeah, 9 1/8. Hopefully we end up like 9. That will be good. So then I'm going to mark this. So this is my center where the mandrel goes in. And that's the plate size. I need to mark, I need to axe out these X corners and make it as round as possible. But what I usually do, I do it on the bowl and cups and locking box and all that. I find the rough center at the back as well here. Just roughly. This will help me to find the right center when I'm turning, and at the same time gives me a guide when I'm axing. I leave the right amount and equal amount all the way. In this case, because this is like a plate, I need to axe out that bit there and leave this part alone. This is just roughly shape. It doesn't have to be precise, it's going to change anyway. Okay, now what I usually do, I axe out this side first. Is easier to axe, the grain is going that way. Same things here, or I can even put the axe there and split all the way this bit, and the same here. Then I will axe out this end grain parts, which is a bit harder to axe out, and the same here. And it's kind of, when it's kind of roundish, then I will axe out the corners. In this case, I'm gonna axe out and leave like good inch, that much. I will axe out all this bit there, and same things here. But when it's round and nice, then we mark it again and show you what happens. But let's axe out the corners. Again, I start with my heavy axe. Just when you're axing this bit, be careful, don't go like right to the end, to the grain and split the whole things. Just, you know, look from that angle and axe it. Or if you're doing this, make sure you axing bit by bit. You're not cutting suddenly big piece. You wanna keep this bit there and axe out later. There's a knotty bit there. Hopefully it will come off. That much will do for now. I do the same things here. This big axe is great for that kind of things. And every time with this hand I'm changing the angle of the axing I'm doing it. So this is just my guide. I'm just going nice and straight, and I'm always changing this for the angle of the cut I want to do it. Bit more here. That's one side. I mean both sides, and this angle. Now I'm gonna do this bit. So this, when we're axing this part, is really hard. We're cutting the grain. It's hard in your axe and your shoulder. So I'm trying to come, same with the ball as well, ball blanks. So I'm trying to come this way bit first. In that way, there's less to axe this bit there. So in this case, I come like that angle. That corner, then this corner. Now I have less in this hard bit to axe. Then I join all these facets together to make it like that. I got a bit more here, I clean it out later, but I'm gonna do same thing on both sides. Again, so as you can see, it's a bit heavy axing involved when it comes to turning big plates or bowl. Something like that. Now, I have these corners. The thinner I go here, it's going to be easier to get rid of these corners. If I have too much here, it's going to be harder to axe out, especially this bit's there. So I try to make these corners thin here on both sides. Then I will axe out with my small axe and the other axe block, get rid of this corner and make it round. You can saw this bit, whatever you have, silky, chainsaw, bandsaw. Some people they got bandsaw, they just use bandsaw and get really nice and round. But if you want to just use axe, so you need to just make this bit nice and thin. So I go back again here, start with more, making thinner that corner and I come back. Yeah, bit more here. This is the toughest bit. That much. I know I'm going to turn all this there, and I will turn a little bit here, so this is going to be my kind of plate size. That much there. I got a bit more axing here. When I axe out those corners, then I can see better how even and round plate blanks I have. At the moment it's square, you can't see it properly, but when I finish axing these corners, I might need a little bit more touching here and there to make it nice and round. And I'm not really happy with this bit anyway. I will axe this bit and see what I got there. This is a bit extra. Alright, what I did, Zed, I changed my axe block, and I tell you why. I have made this kind of axe block. As you can see, it's different sizes, so this bit is smaller and this bit is a bit wider for using and holding ball blanks and plate blanks when I'm axing. So it kind of sits there. The more you axe these corners, it gets rounder, and it's really hard to hold on a flat axe block, and you have to push with this arm, and after a while axing it hurts. So you need to have somewhere a shoulder or something to put this there. When you're axing this way, that shoulder, in this case this axe block, will hold. And the more round it gets, it sits there, and I can adjust the size here and use it for my axing. I can turn it that way so you can see what I'm doing here. So I'm going to get it off this corner first, that angle, because the grain is going that way. It's easier to axe this that way. If you start that way, if you're going against the grain, it's going to be harder and it will split. So I'm going to come that way and axe this corner first, but make sure this bit is nice. And as you can see, I am not pushing anything, it just sits there. I'm just holding it. So hold this bit and that, it just sits there and make life much easier. And I'm gonna axe these corners. Now, if I find there's too much here for axing, I'm struggling, I can always go back and make this bit thinner and axe it again. But I think here I am fine. And I'm trying to axe as straight as possible. I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that, because I want to have this bit nice and straight. And I want to stay behind the mark. can come this way because I'm trying to avoid any split there to make sure. Then clean up a little bit. I might do a little bit axing later here, but that will do for now. So this bit is done. I'm going to do the same things here and there and this corner. So again, hold it there so I can see the line here. I'm hitting this way because of that. Otherwise I had to hold it all this tight and here and do it. But because it's sitting there, I'm just going like that and getting rid of that corner. And that's that corner. So I got 2 more to go. Again here, make this bit nice and straight. Few relief cut. And because this axe is lighter, so I can use it more comfortable than that one. That's a bit heavier for all this small cut. And it's more riskier to cut a big piece and change the size of your plate or bowl. So this axe is really nice.
And that's the one by Oscar Rush.
This is by Oscar Rush, and the handle done by Lee Stuffer. And we have 1 more corner to go. Now if it's a bit too much here, I can make this bit thinner and lighter. Something like that.
So Ali, where are we at in the process?
Okay. What I did here, I just cleaned a little bit with extra, made it more round, and same here, marked it. So this is ready for mandrel. The cleaner you get with axe, you have less turning and less hard time, but I think that will do. That's good enough to start turning. So I put the mandrel in, then we start turning, and I take you through all the mandrel and choices we have and all that kind of things. All right. When it comes to mandrel, I got so many different shapes and sizes for different things and different size and all that. When I'm turning plates, I usually go with the spike mandrel, and the smaller the spike, in this case, I mean this one, I'm talking about the size of that way, is better, because if this is a bit longer, like this one here, you have to turn and go in. Imagine if this was I was using, I have to turn all this bit to reach here to get the plate from here, but I'm trying to use this smaller spike to have less turning on the core and use all the materials I have here. And I got a smaller mandrel or bigger mandrel, but for this case I'm going to use this one here. It's good size. Or if you have very precious wood, you don't want to get any waste and stuff, you can always use super glue and glue the mandrel there and start turning. If you have, for example, that much material to turn, you don't have this bit extra, that much, you can do that by just gluing this here and use only this part to make a plate. So there is few options. I know it's not very green woodworking using super glue, but you can do it. But in this case I'm going to use a spike mandrel and I'm going to use this one.
So just a couple of things then. So just to kind of recap, in terms of the length of the spikes will depend on the item that you're turning. Okay, and it will make more sense as we actually begin the turning process. And another thing, if people watching don't have a spike mandrel, do you make these to custom?
Yeah, I can do that. I can make different sizes and all that. Yeah, no problem.
Excellent stuff. So needless to say, obviously Ali's details will be down below if you want to get a custom mandrel of Ali, depending on what it is you're going to be turning. Then it's something you could potentially do. So with this now then, so you're going to attach the mandrel, yeah?
I'm going to attach the mandrel because we got the center here, and the mandrel I make, this one in the middle, the center is there. So I'm going to just put this center onto that, and I'm going to hammer it straight, and then we will see. So if I use this block nice and steady, the reason I made this part nice and flat, I don't want to have any gap there, any wobbly, any uneven bit. So I want the mandrel to sit there and nice and tight. So when I'm turning, if I catch something, it won't move, hopefully. So
the middle of the mandrel goes into the middle of the...
That's right.
The blank.
Yeah, goes there. I'm going to hammer it and look the angle and see if it's right angle. Hammer it a bit more. As you can see, there's a little gap there. I don't want that. I have to make sure. These are the important, especially for beginners, because when you start turning, you're catching a lot, and when this is uneven or gap there, this is going to move and the whole thing is going to change, and you will notice, oh, why I'm not getting the right, nice and straight and even circle because of the moving all this mandrel. So I have to make sure, even middle of the turning, honestly, especially for beginners or sometimes myself, I notice there is a movement. I use super glue to make sure it's not moving. When it comes to locking lidded box or flask and stuff, the center has to be straight right, otherwise it won't work. So I have to make sure they're nice and sits there, nice and tight, there is no gap there, and hopefully it won't move. Okay, Zed, we attached the mandrel to the plate blanks and it's ready to go. But before that, let me tell you about my rustic lathe a little bit. So this is ash, puppets are ash, uprights are chestnut, and as you can see I use chainsaw cord. You can use a piece of leather if you like, but what I want to say is when it comes to turning bowl and plate or locking box, heavy stuff, you really need something heavy. I mean, a spindle lathe is designed for chair making. People say, oh, I can't turn this on that because it's very light, it moves around. You don't want any movement, you don't want any shaky bits. You want something really steady and solid. You're going to beat it up and change it and all that kind of things. So heavier, the chunkier, the better. And obviously center has to be straight and nice. I use my treadle, I use hinge, and I stand up on both sides. I try to use my both legs. I notice after a while when I'm standing on one side, the leg as I'm pushing down is fine, but the leg I'm standing and my hip is starting to hurt. So I'm trying to swap my legs whenever I can, and by doing that it gives me different angle as well. So this kind of treadle, it helps me to do that, and I can obviously move it around. When I'm doing cup turning, I can bring this all the way here and stay more like this angle and turn the cups and stuff. So I use hinge, and it just goes up and down. I'm not worried about that treadle is going to be this way and that way, especially when you're a beginner. You don't want to do that. You want to just have something solid, nice and straight, and goes up and down. So that's why I use this this kind of treadle. And the other thing is about this, I know so many people, I have seen it, that's why I'm explaining. When it comes to tool rest, you need to make sure they are solid, steady, it's not wobbly, this is not loose, you know, all that kind of things. You want to fix it in one place. When you're turning, you don't want to just do that and all that kind of things. That way you can make nice finishing cut. When this is moving and you have no control, hook is going everywhere, it's hard to get nice finish cut. So all this little bit helps me. And when I'm turning, I try to wear a glove. This gives me nice grip when I'm holding hook. And in winter time, obviously, it's really cold. It helps me stay warm as well. And that's it. And then I can talk you through about the hook I'm using and all that kind of things.
So just a couple of things. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I have filmed a video with Sharif Adams where we go into a lot more detail about, you know, the kind of anatomy of a lathe, kind of like the components of it, what it's designed to do, etc. So I'd highly recommend, that will be linked to below in the description, to check that out, to learn a lot more detail about it. And the second thing is, Ali, it's worth mentioning that you actually teach people how to make their own lathes. Is that correct?
Yes, I do. It's like 2 days course. We start from splitting the log and make legs and bed and puppets, put the center. 2 days really hard work, really, honestly. And yeah, they go home with the lathe they want, and I have few piece of wood. They can choose if they want to be oak or larch or ash, whatever they want. I do that too, yeah. Excellent stuff.
So the next part of the process, is it to actually set up the blank on the lathe?
Yeah. But I was going to mention Sharif. He was my teacher. I went to his place. I love his work. He's my mentor always. But I remember when I was learning how to turn a bowl, I was watching his YouTube video, which you made it, again and again and again and again. I can say I've watched it maybe more than 500 times. And there's a bit there you learn. So definitely, if you want to be a turner, go and watch it as much as you want and as many as possible. It's going to help you a lot. He's one of the great turners and a great person in total, yeah. Okay, finding the center. This mark, it gives me kind of guide, so I kind of gonna start somewhere here and see how it goes. First thing, you just avoid this cord, just leave it aside. This end goes first, and there is a hole there, so this is the center of this side. And you bring your puppet closer, you start from here and see what happens. Nice and straight, just push the wedge in, don't hit it tight, just it stays there. And you're gonna find the center here, this bit, not that bit. People usually looking here and say, oh, this is not center, but this is the bit you're gonna watch. And you're gonna turn it and you will see if it's centered or not. In this case, this is great. This is really good. I was lucky. Just a little bit I can see where is the up and down bit, from just turning that. This is up bit, so I will bring it down. I'm talking about like literally 1 mil or 2 here, and have another go. Little bit more on the other side. I think that will do. Okay, when I find this hole there, I'm gonna make that hole, that little hole, a bit bigger by this screwdriver. I grind it, made like a sharp bit, same shape as this center there. So when this hole is nice and big enough, it sits there, it doesn't pop out when you catch or something happens, and it turns nicely as well, and it stays in one place. So make sure this is nice and deep enough, like that much, sits there. Then, so the mandrel is between you and the cord. You got your cord here, the mandrel is between you and the cord. You can just wrap it a few times. In my case, it's going to be like 4 times. It goes there, and the puppet comes in. You hold this, you hit the puppet, and you hit the wedge, the puppet together, and the wedge.
So you only tighten up once you've got it centered and everything is good?
Yeah. This just sits there nicely, then you have a go. Everything is in one place. You don't want any movement like this way. It's nice and tight there. Like that. One thing you need to make sure this cord is right in the center. Even when you're moving the straddle here and there, this bit needs to be right in the center. Like that. Now you're ready to turn, and you're going to adjust your tool rest and all that. The other thing I do, I can use this tool rest like this, just putting the peg or screwdriver, whatever you have here, holding like that. I can use that, but I try to again make sure this tool rest doesn't move at all, especially when I'm doing finishing cut. When I'm doing rough cut, it doesn't matter, but that's fixed there, everything is good to go. You want that. Okay, hook tools. When I'm turning plates and bowls and stuff, I use, like everybody else, use tip up and tip down hook. These days I'm forging my own hook, so I make double edge hook. So both sides is sharp. When I'm holding this way is tip up, when I'm turning that way is tip down. It doesn't matter if you have just one tip up or one tip down, you still can do it. But because I feel I got 2 hooks in one hand, when I want to use it the other side, I can just flip around and use the other side. But feel free to just use one hook, like tip up or tip down. In this case, I have bevel inside, both sides is sharp, and we can see here better, like that. And this is very aggressive, is new hook. And I got the other hook here, which is exactly same hook, but the bevel is outside. I have used this hook for a little bit. It's great for finishing cuts and stuff. New hooks, they are really aggressive. Sometimes for finishing cut you catch and stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna use this hook, these 2 hooks. If I need some more hook, I got more hook here. I can use it for some parts, and if not, I just finish with these 2, hopefully.
So just to kind of recap then, so with the tools, I know it can get a little bit overwhelming for those new to turning on a foot-powered lathe. But in terms of previous videos I've covered on my channel, in terms of turning a bowl on a foot powered lathe, they use two different shaped hook tools, similar to what obviously Ali is showing here. Now, there is a couple of things to cover. Number one, if people wanted to source these tools, I have two-part question. Number one, are these the same tools that people will use to also turn bowls?
Yeah.
They're the same ones.
Same ones.
And then part two is, do you make these, or do you only make these to people that when they come on your courses?
I make this for myself and people coming to my course. I don't sell them, but when I'm teaching how to make a lathe and stuff, I know they need, and I make for them as well a couple of tip up and tip down hook so they can go and have a start. But they are all coming with different shape and different size, and it's, you know, you will find a way how to use it. It doesn't matter if it's a little bit small or big. I got hook really big and I got hook really small. We can talk about it later. But yeah, it's the same hook you use for bowl turning and other things. Yeah.
So for those of you that are watching that need to maybe source your own tools, two things. Number one, I have done a video with Oliver Klotzek, another very talented turner, on actually forging and making your own hook tool. I will link to that below in the description. I highly recommend you check that out. Alternatively, if you just want to buy it ready to go, what I'm going to do is I will put some links below in the description to hook tool makers in the UK, continental Europe and the US. So depending on where you're based, you can hit those people up directly and obviously just inquire about purchasing tools from them. So just to recap with the tools, generally speaking, you're going to need two for this particular project, turning your plates, but it's also the same two tools you will use to turn a bowl and a myriad of other items. And either A, you can come on a course with Ali and source your tools that way, or alternatively, I will put links to tool makers below in the description, like I said, in different regions, and depending on where you are, you can order from them directly. So Ali, are you going to begin the turning process?
Yeah. So I'm going to use tip down hook in this case. I'm going to get rid of this old axe mark and see what I got. And it's going to be like rough shape. Then I'm going to do some finishing cuts and all that. When I finish the back of the plate, I'm going to start flip around and start hollowing the inside and finish the inside of the plate. So the things to remember, I'm sure some of you, you are a turner, you're watching it, or if you are a beginner, what I usually do, I make sure you cut just a bit at first, because there is lots of rough bits there. You don't want to catch it. You just want to get rid of these rough bits first. And what happens by just cutting it, you're making this ridge there. And you're trying to make this ridge same amount all the way. At the first it won't happen because some part you're cutting, some part you're not. But don't worry, go right to the end and come back and repeat it. When you repeat a few times, then it's going to get smoother and this ridge is going to be nice and even all the way. So other thing will happen, when you're making that ridge, you start turning, and this bit gets nice and flat and sits at the back of this hook there. So that will be your guide, like that. You don't want your hook is only catching just this edge and it's on the air all the time. You have less control, but when it's there, first of all is your guide, and the second is you got kind of a control there. And you're holding the hook with this hand, and with this hand you're just guiding the hook up and down or left and right. I think Sharif is explained this really well in his video, but imagine this bit is nice and fixed there and you're just cutting as a pivot. So you're starting from here, you're cutting till there, you're stopping, you move your hook, you're doing this arc shape cut, and you're stopping and you're starting at the same point and going back and all the way to there. Bit by bit, because you're on one leg, you can't move this all the time. You have to cut it like a arc shape, like a pivot, bit by bit. So I started to make this ridge, and I'm gonna continue by just pushing this ridge and cutting bit by bit. And here you want to notice how good was your axing. Mine is, it's not that bad, but it's not perfect. I'm still missing here. I need to go back one more time. So I stopped, I was here, I started, went there. I can't go more than that. I need to stop and go there and do that another pivot. So another cut. These are the things I notice when I'm teaching people, beginners. If I am repeating the things, you know, I'm so sorry. But this is the things. If you notice this hook, when you're cutting, is going like that, you're not controlling this properly. You have to make sure you're holding this nice. If you look here, it looks like this hook is not moving at all. You want a steady and controlled hook. In that case, you can cut better and you can make a really nice, smooth finishing cut if you want to. So make sure this hand, adjust yourself. You think it's better holding like that, do that. Some people like that. I have seen some people just holding this one finger, so it's up to you. As long as you're holding this nice and tight, it doesn't move, you're good to go. So again, I'm going behind the ridge again. So that ridge is my guide. I'm pushing with the ridge like that, bit by bit. So if you jump, this happens. If you go fast, some people, they're trying to catch up with their leg. They go fast and they move this one fast as well. If you go fast, this will happen. You're making so many ridges and you never get right. If you jump over the ridge, go back, take your time, stay there. And I always say to my students, you better not cut, just stay there and control the hook, then jump over the ridge and destroy your ridge. So go back, stay there, don't rush, take your time. When you are sure about the ridge you made and it's nice and big enough to follow, and just stay behind that and just push that ridge bit by bit all the way to the end. So I did from here to there like 3-4 cut, pivot, bit by bit. I can go back again here and do this again, but then I want to get rid of this bit, this mark and stuff, then go back there and see what I got. Now, I was doing this cut, but because I'm going to do that cut, I'm moving my angle of the control of the hook, and at the same time, because I got used to use my other leg, I can come here nice and easy and do this bit. If you're not changing your leg, you are fixed in one point like that, then you have to go that way. But I think it's easier if I swap my leg and do that. Again, I start here, there's a big ridge there, I don't want to cut in one go. I cut it in a small section. I start with a small bit, make a small ridge, and push that ridge bit by bit. This is a bit I don't want to have really big ridge, because there is some part is end grain and it's tough. I want to cut small bits and make sure my next cut is going to be easier. And I go right to the end. Still, there's a little bit there I haven't reached. I will sort it out later. The rest is okayish. So this is one go. And this is lovely spolting going on here as well. I come back again here and go back and finish it. Again, I'm taking my time to start. When I'm happy with that ridge I made. The other thing it does that if this bit is nice and flat sitting on here back of the hook, it helps me to stay straight. If this bit is ridgy, it's going to hit my hook back all the time, move that. So your first cut is going to help you for your next cut. That's a really important thing. I stop, move my hook, go back to the same place I left. And when it's nice and flat, you get longer shavings and the cut is easier because you don't have that bump and axe mark anymore. Most people, when they're beginning to cut, turn, they leave really rough axe block and they're really having a hard time to turn. Obviously, smoother the axe block, your plate blank or ball blank is better for you. So again, ridge is there. I'm just pushing. As you can see, there's no gap there. I'm trying to hold there. That's my guide from both sides, here and there. I'm pushing the hook there and pushing the ridge that way. That's what I'm getting this nice and even cut. And I'm not rushing to jump over this ridge. I'm just pushing this ridge bit by bit. Now I go back again here and start that ridge again here. So far, I have just used tip down hook, and that will do. I don't need to use any other hook for now. And in my mind, I know the plate is going to finish here, so I got that bit extra here. I'm going to turn it from other side, but this is going to be plate from here to kind of there. So this bit extra there, I will turn away, and the plate comes out from that bit.
So you wanted to show something, Ali?
Yeah. This is the things I want to do it at the bottom of the plate. This stubby bit, we're going to carve it later because there is a hole there, goes through there. And we're going to carve this bit. Only difference is here, this foot is going to be much bigger than that. This is a little bowl. So that foot, I'm going to make it nice and big here. So I have to turn a little bit here. There is a bit turning there to reach that point. When I've done that, then I'm going to have a look, see what I got. Design wise, then I'm going to decide what kind of design I want, how much I need to turn or not turn and all that. So that's the things I'm going to do next. Again, tip down hook is great for that kind of things. So I hold the hook there. And start to make that cut. This time I'm not coming that way, I'm trying to go in, and this ring is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller till I got like good 1 inch there. I can go a bit more deeper. I might do that bit later again. And I'm trying to hold the hook more like this angle than that. So again, hold it there. At the start is because it's uneven, it's axe mark. I'm cutting some bit and not cutting the other bit, but after a few turns, you start cutting all bits and you go a bit deeper. And I'm going to repeat this all the way there. And tip down hook is a very good way to do. You can use tip up if you want to, but tip down is safer when it catches, because it's that way, it goes kind of under the hook. When it's like that, when it catches, it just pulls that way. So it's safer to beginners to use that. And same time I'm trying to make this nice and flat by scraping. And the other thing I was going to mention is this pedaling. It's good to have good rotation here. All the way goes down, like 2-3 times turn here. You don't want like half turn. You don't want that much. You want to go all the way down, and it gives more power, fast turning, and all that. You want to just go all the way down. The other thing is you don't want to do this very fast and get tired and stop. Just go steady, but go all the way. You know, that is speed. You want that is speed. Just take your time, don't rush. And you don't want to do really slow because this won't cut. So you need this speed and rotation. This is a technique we're going to use it when it comes to do the core inside. But when you're turning ball, you're using the same technique for cutting the core. So controlling this hook is really critical here. A little movement, it goes everywhere, and you never catch anything. You need to steady, hold it there, make sure you're pushing in, you're making that ridge. That way you can cut your core as well. Bit more. I think that's a good amount. I can leave that and carve that size-wise. But I need to go a bit more deeper, so I need to repeat this same things again. I go back again here. This time it's going to be a bit easier because it's nice and flat for a start. It's not bumpy. If I want to make this bowl like a more like pasta bowl, more shallow, this is the time I can just use this bit as a foot and start turning and keep this nice and deep. But I want to make it more flat plate in this case. So I need to turn a bit more on this side and more on that side. And the other thing you need to check after a bit of turning, make sure this is still nice and tight, because sometimes when you're turning a bit more here, the center digs in and this hole gets bigger and this becomes loose and gets wobbly, and it's going to affect your finishing cut. This sycamore is lovely. With sycamore you get really nice watermelony smell on the shavings. It's very fresh and nice. Other thing you need to do, don't be shy to move this tool rest. When you're getting more here, you got more gap between you and this point, so that distance is longer. The longer this distance, you have less control. The closer, and here I got more control than there, because it's going to move a lot. So if you want to, when you come in here, if you want to move your tool rest, feel free to move it. It won't hurt. I'm cutting really nice big chunk, quite deep, but because it's quite heavy lathe and the center is big, puppets is big, mandrel is fixed and everything, it doesn't move. If the lathe was a bit lighter, the whole thing is going to shake and affect my cut. And the other thing I'm going to do here, this bit is more like that angle. I'm going to go 90 degree, more straight like that. Then instead of holding hook like that, I'm going to come like more like this angle and start going nice and 90 degree. This cut is really important because it's going to come really handy when you're doing your core on your bowl or plate, or anything really, like even cups and stuff. Okay, I think this is good amount. I want this nice and straight at the start, and I can scrape this. So I'm scraping mostly with this whole part to make this nice and flat, so when I'm doing my finishing cut, it's going to be much easier, less catching, and at the same time I'm getting rid of all this bump and uneven bits all the way. Yeah. So this is rough cut, it's not finished cut. Now I'm going to decide, okay, I got that much material here, what about my foot size and all that. If I start like here, it's going to be too big. So I go a bit more in and have a look. See what I got. It's still, this is rough cut. It's not finished cut. Bit more in. Okay, that's not bad. What I'm trying is it. I'm trying to copy this bit. I'm going in to there, almost the same angle. When you look, I don't want to have the foot here and this there or smaller. Kind of when you look at it, it's kind of almost around the same size. I'm trying to make that kind of foot here. I can make it smaller if I want to, or deeper, whatever, but the size wise it's good to have a nice big size to sit there and it doesn't move. It's not like a ball. It needs to be nice and big foot. So far so good. I got a little bump there. I want to turn this bit, then I will see what I got. Again, this is like a rough cut. I'm just getting rid of this extra bit. I come back for finishing cuts when I'm happy with the whole shape. And so far I have just used tip down hook. Okay, now I'm looking like this angle. See what's happening here and there. So it's a bit rough. I finished this off with nice finishing cuts. And the other things I want to do here, if you look at that, it's nice and straight, more platey. This is more like bowl. I got too much material here. I'm gonna sort this out. If I leave this bit, I have to copy the same things from inside, then it looks like more like a bowl. I don't want to do that. So I turn a bit more here. It's always good to have few good plates from different makers, or if you have made yourself or whatever, have that and copy that. Otherwise you start turning and the blank will decide for you instead of you deciding. So a bit more straight, I can do a bit more. I don't want to turn anything here. I'm happy with the size here. I want to just get rid of this bit there. Okay. The other things I need to do here with the foot, I want to go 90 degree, nice and straight, go in. But I sort this bit out first, then I work on this bit. So if I catch here something, then I can always adjust here. But if I sort this bit out first, then I start here, then I have to start really right to the edge, which is a bit tricky, and it's going to catch. I don't want to do that. I want to go a little bit in, then start from there and go all the way there, make a nice finishing cut. Then I will just turn from here and go a bit more in, then I sort this bit out. Okay, Zed, I got two hooks here. One, the bevel is inside, and the other one is bevel is outside. So I was using this hook for rough cut. The bevel is inside, as you can see, on both sides, and I was just using tip down hook. Now I'm going to change for my finishing cut. This is less aggressive hook, and the bevel is outside, so if I catch, it's not going to be really disaster.
So when people are kind of following along, you know, would your advice be just to stick to the one and then? Yeah,
you can just use this one, doesn't matter, you can just use tip down hook or tip up hook and do your finishing cut. But I'm going to use this one. I can use this if you want to, I can show with this one as well, it doesn't matter. I'm using tip down hook again, the bevel is outside. Again, this part of the hook is going to sit there, and that's going to be my guide. When I'm teaching for beginners, I say hold it like that, don't do anything, start, but not turning, try not to turn, just hold it there, just rubbing. Now if I twist a little bit like that, it's going to start cutting, you're going to make a ridge, and you're going to push the ridge all the way to here. So hold it there, nice and steady, take your time, twist a little bit, then you're going to make that ridge. When you got that ridge, you have somewhere to go, that's your guide, and you're going to push that ridge all the way there. Maybe you need 2 times, 3 times to be really happy with your finishing, but this is your first step for your finishing cut. And I'm kind of under the ridge, I'm pushing up and pushing in the same time. It's not like from here to there, it's kind of under, if it's 9 o'clock, I'm kind of 8ish, 8:30, I'm just pushing up and pushing in. So I go back again behind the ridge and push the ridge. all the way in. So having this nice and flat, I scraped it before, it helps me to do this cut. If it was a bit bumpy, I wouldn't able to do this cut. So I need to make sure I have really nice and flat to start. If you want to stop, push your hook in and just continue from there. Before you reach there and catch like that, stop. If you're happy with this finishing, which I'm not, I got a little ridge there. I'm going to sort this out. Go back again and start the same things. Other things I want to do, at the moment it's nice and straight, little bit concave. If you look from that angle, I have gone in a bit by purpose. I want to have that. I don't want to go that way. I want to go a bit more in. So when I'm putting the plate on the table, this bit is going to catch the table, not this bit. When it moves, so this bit goes in. So I go back, hold there, make that ridge. And this time, if I can, I'm going to do a bit finer cut to make that nice and smooth finishing. So I'm happy with here. If I can do the same things all the way, it will be good. I'm taking my time when I'm starting. I don't want to rush. I want to stay behind the ridge. At the same time, I want to have a really smooth finishing. I got other different hooks. I can use them, but I don't want to make it too complicated here. I want to use just tip up and tip down. There you go. Only tip down hook. This bit I used for that part. Now I'm going to keep this almost the same size of foot. I'm going to come from there, make my ridge, then I'm going to change my angle and go behind that ridge I made there. And this time I'm going to go a bit more in, make this foot more sharp so you can see. Obviously, design-wise, is up to you. You can make this foot bigger, wider, whatever. But that will do. I can go a bit more in if I want to. Make this a bit more sharper. Sometimes I add a little design. I burn this bit with wire, add a little groove and all that. You can do that. It's no problem. But so far, this is okay. Now I'm going to do this bit. Finishing cut. Again, is tip down, back of the hook, and so there's a little space here for my hook. I need to go in, kind of scraping at the start. Then I got that bit right. Then I'm going to turn my hook that way. I'm going to start cutting. And as you can see, again, this bit, this bevel is sitting there and I'm behind that ridge I made. It's a very small ridge, but I'm just following that little bit. Like that. This is the cut I want to do it all the time when I'm doing finishing. So sharper hook, right hook and all that, it helps. And I'm using, you can use tip up hook if you want to, but tip down hook is always safer for catching stuff on the back of the bowl or plate, I find that. There's a bit I haven't, there's a bit deeper here. So I'm gonna do a really fine cut. That's it. So I'm happy with here as a plate. This is going to be my rim. I'm going to round this bit that way, and then I flip around when I'm hollowing the inside. I'm going to round that bit from the other side, so this bit gets like a roundish shape, not this square and sharp. When you do washing and stuff, when you're using it, it feels better when it's round. So a bit more on the rim. I don't have any axe mark. I have a little, because of the grain direction it's changing there, a little bit fuzzy things going on here. Hopefully with sharper hook and a small cut, I can make this part smooth like the other bits there. But there is no axe mark, so I can finish this. All right. Again, I can change my angle. I can stand on this leg and start nice and straight. Come back again, a bit more round. I can come back here. I sort out this bit when I'm hollowing the inside. So that side is, so this is my finish plate. It's still a little bit deep for plate, but I think it's good. We can play around inside with the design and stuff. But this is my finished plate, so I'm seeing like that much there. Now I'm gonna flip this around and start hollowing inside. Move the clamp, hit the wedge, hold on to that, and I'm gonna put it that way. Wedge goes in, pop it, wedge. You need to make sure it's nice and tight, no movement, and you can adjust this time. Bring it right in the middle. The other tip is when we're turning a bowl or plate or especially cup, when this core gets thinner, we have little leftover, make sure this core or leather, whatever you have, is more like this side than there. There's less pressure when you're pulling down to snap that core. So when it's here, less pressure there, and you can turn all the way, and it's not on the way. So make sure this core is right, more like this side, especially when we're getting closer to core and we have little bit on the core. So tool rest now is going to come much closer because the plate was here. So you're going to come much closer, and we're going to start hollowing the plate. Again, I'm going to use my rough hook I was using for hollowing inside. When it comes to do the finishing, I use my other hook. Again, I'm going to using tip down hook. Doesn't matter, you can use tip up. One thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make this nice and flat first. At the moment it's a bit uneven. I can use tip up if I want to, I can use tip down. If I'm using very dryish wood, I try to use tip down hook because the shaving goes down. When I'm using tip up hook, the shaving comes usually up and is not safe really, especially when I'm using dry wood. But when it's green, it doesn't really matter. In this case, I'm going to use tip up. So I'm catching some bit, I'm not catching other bits. So again, every time I go in and come out, and this is the angle I am cutting. Again, it's the same rule. I'm making kind of ridge and I'm pushing that ridge out. And in this cut, it doesn't matter. I'm not looking for a very finished cut. I'm just getting rid of the material really. Now, if this was a bowl, or if I want to decide, make it a little deep plate, so I am okay here. I can use all this bit if I want to, but I don't want to use that. I want to turn all this bit and only use this bit. So there's a bit of turning here. But it's still, I want to make that bit flat because it's going to make life much easier when I'm starting to hollowing it. And as you can see, this hook is really aggressive and big. I can get rid of the material nice and easy and quick if I want to. Now, the closer I go to the core, I can move my tool rest a bit closer. So I have more control there. So I'm almost flat, a bit more to go. Then I start to hollowing inside. Lovely long shavings you get with this sycamore. Okay, now I'm gonna dig in and start hollowing with tip down hook. Again, these are the rough cut. I want to get rid of the material really, it's not finishing cut. But it's still, I'm following the same rule. I'm making ridge and I'm holding the hook steady, no movement. So what I did here, I went in with this part of the hook to open up a bit more here for my next cut. So I go a bit more in. So this bit I call core side. This bit, in this case, I call plate side. So I go in, tip down hook again for core side, open up a bit more. I can, in this case, I can use tip up hook, or I can use just tip down, but the other bits of the hook, and do the plate side. If I hold it there, again I go in on the plates, the core side, open up a bit more, and I'm going to repeat this all the way till here to get rid of this extra material I have there. Now back of the hook, again sitting there, that's my guide. I'm making that ridge and I'm pushing this ridge all the way to the center. And same time I'm trying to go in and turn a bit more. I have a little catch there. Yeah, a bit more on the core side. Then on the ball side or plate side. I'm gonna leave a bit extra here to make sure there is a strong connection here. I don't want to make it very thin here and all that. When I sort this bit out, I'm gonna do more here, but I'm gonna turn a bit more on the plate side. There's a bit more to turn here. And the other thing is the angle of this hook. Most of the cut that is happening between 9 and 6. The closer you get to the rim, you need to go a bit more around 7-ish. So this cut won't help much. You need to lift this up and do this movement. So I'm starting like around, I don't know, 8-ish, and I'm ended up like nearly 9. Again, hold it there, make that ridge, and push that ridge all the way. Come back. I have a bit extra here. I'm going to turn it from this side. It's easier to turn. Then I'm going to work a bit more on that side. Okay, I'm almost there. That bit I need to sort it out later, but I'm almost, this is my finish plate there. So that bit is extra, I'm going to turn it. Now I can go a bit more in. What usually happens, because we want to finish it quickly, we try to cut deeper and get rid of the material, but honestly a smaller cut is better at the end. Less catching, safer, and you don't get really tired. So I'm trying to stay same amount of cutting all the time. Again, this time back of the hook is sitting there. Same rule with the ball as well. That's my guide, and I'm just pushing that ridge. I have a little bit more here. I sort this bit out. So my rough cut is almost finished here. I'm going to turn a bit more here, then I do finishing cut. Anything I do for the core side, I always try to use tip down hook. You can obviously use tip up, but you need to have a really good control. I wouldn't recommend for beginners. And the smaller hook is the better for doing the core side. They dig in nicely. Now I have gone more like that shape, but I want to go a bit more in. Straight first, then go in a bit more. I will sharpen this hook later, so we can talk about the sharpening a little bit. Okay, one more go for rough cut. I thought before we finish it, turn a bit more, I'll show you how I sharpen my hook. In this case, it's the same hook I'm using, is a double bevel. Bevel is inside. What I usually do, I clamp it, and this wire is nice and big. I don't like holding the hook like that and walking around and sharpening, because we're gonna damage the sharp bit anyway, and at the same time we're going to change the angle, and you never get it right. I find that just fixing this hook in one place, if you have a clamp it, or if you want to hold it on your tool rest nice and steady, doesn't move, you can do that. But I usually use this vise and clamp it there, and it's nice and steady, so I've got two hands free to sharpen it. In this case, I'm gonna do inside first with this diamond hook. It's not a round bit, round size. Then I do final touching with this bit again inside. Then with the flat diamond, I do outside. So if you're not sure, you can use the marker and mark it which bit you cut, which bit you sharpening. So in this case, I know this is gonna go right in there, and I'm just making sure I'm catching all this bevel there. And because I got two hands, I can even use two hands and really go for it. Most of the cut I get when I'm sharpening my tools, really. I got a little bare there, but not here. I'm gonna work on this bit more. Yeah, I feel it. I have moved the metal. Nice. Then I'm gonna use this flat diamond, and just flat sits there nicely, and I'm gonna just follow this bevel all the way to up there. I can come that way a few times to make sure I have touched all this bit. And I can feel it. That's nice and sharp. That's one side. I do the same things to the other side. And if I have a smaller hook, I can always use smaller diamond to go in. It depends on the size of the hook I have. I can use different diamonds. If you don't have any flat diamond, don't worry, get a piece of sandpaper and put it on a piece of nice flat wood or whatever you have, and just hold it there and do it outside. Or again, if you don't have any diamond, get a piece of wood nice and thin and put a sandpaper around it, and make sure you're just going this way and working this inside bit. I used to use just sandpaper before I got this, honestly. Yeah. This bit is okay, this bit is a bit more. It's a good thing if you are starting to sharpening, mark it with the marker and you will see which bit you are sharpening. So that's good. And I can, if you want to, I can see from that angle even better. Just sit there and just follow this. Nice and flat. You don't want to do that. You're going to change the bevel. So that's why you have to sit there nice and flat. It's important. Otherwise you will destroy your hook. Obviously it will happen gradually by sharpening a lot. You will change it, but at the start you stay nice and straight. That's nice and sharp. That's the way I do my sharpening on my hook.
Just one quick question on that is, how often do you sharpen?
It depends what I'm turning. If it's softwood, green, less sharpening. If it's really tough wood, dry, more sharpening. Maybe one sharpening when I'm turning outside, and when I'm doing a nice finishing inside, I sharpen it again to make sure it's really, really nice and sharp, so I can get nice finishing cut. Okay, Zed, we sharpened our hook, and we're gonna turn a bit more. There is a bit material here. We can remove this, and bit here. Then we do finishing cuts. So again, I use my tip-up hook in this case, and start it still is a rough cut, but I'm trying to make it smooth as possible for my next cuts. What I want to do here is go straight and go in and go straight again. I mean, making this kind of shape, like a lip there, and go straight that way. So I need to turn a bit more here. At the same time, I want to make sure I don't go through the plate here, and check it. I got plenty there, but this is the time you have to stop and check it. So this is kind of rough shape I want. I might come back a little bit here, because there. Believe me or not, the wood is drying by the time we are finishing it. I can feel this bit is much drier than that bit. It's a bit windy and sunny. By the time we finish this, we can oil it, hopefully. Not really. All right. Bit more that way. Okay. I'm gonna do a little bit finishing cuts here, sort this bit out, then I'm gonna turn a bit more there. I will use my other hook, and at the same time I'm gonna sort out this rim. So I'm starting with tip-up hook. This bit sits there. Then from here, I'm gonna go in like a scooping motion. I hold the hook there. Again, back of the hook is sitting there. That's my guide. hold everything in a place and just pushing that ridge bit by bit in. That's not bad. All right, now this rim is a bit sharp and fuzzy. I'm going to sort this out. So I'm coming out from here and going that way. And the best way is tip down hook. Tip up hook is a bit dangerous here, is my catch. So tip up hook is safer. You hold it there. Very fine cut. Then you're going to turn it this way. And you're going to make it round. Like that. I can make it a bit rounder. Still this bit is a bit sharp. I'm going to make it a bit rounder. That's better. So I'm happy with this rim. At the end I can hold the little shavings and just burnish it at the end, but right now it's fine. So I'm going to turn a bit more here, do the finishing cut. Bit more. What I like to do, I want to go in and come out. So holding there, we're starting with nothing, just rubbing. Then when I make that ridge, I'm gonna follow that ridge. Like that. There is a little ridgy, just a bit there. I don't like that. I want to go behind that ridge. That's fine cut. And sort that out. Bit better. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to go in, make that lip. Go in, then come out and make this as flat as possible. I don't want any curvy bit there. Nice and flat. This is the bit, it's up to you, the design wise. But I try to make the same things at the foot size here and do that bit. In this case, and it depends on the size of the whole plate obviously, this case I can go back a little bit more, so I have more flat this bit. So just a bit more. Like that. Then I'm gonna, this is again rough cut, I'm gonna sort this bit out later. Now the good thing with this bevel outside is kind of curved like that, so when I'm doing this bit on the return is not catching. If I use that hook, because it's 90 degree like that, it's going to catch on the return. So these are really great hook, honestly, bevel outside, tip up or tip down. Okay, I feel it there, I'm happy with here. Now I'm going to turn the core side, make it thinner, then I'm going to do the finishing cut here, then again core side and snap that. I changed my hook again, the same hook I was using before for doing this core bit, rough cut, and I'm going to use tip down hook. I can go a bit closer with my tool rest so I have more control. And work on a bit more core side. So I start again making that ridge, and I'm trying to go a bit more in every time till this core gets really thin. The reason I leave this core at the end to sort it out, because if this is very thin here, when I'm doing this bit, I don't want any movement here. I want this bit really steady and solid when I sort this bit out. When this is thin here, when I'm pushing with hook, this is going to move and affect my cut. That's why I leave this part at the end. Check it again. Yeah, that's a good amount there. When I do the finishing cut, I have same thickness as here at the bottom. And go back again. Now when I'm doing core, it gets harder when we reach that point. For a start, sometimes I hold the hook under my arm, and I tell to beginners when they're doing the ball turning as well, for a start, because you don't want any movement here. This movement, the core wants to pull your hook in. You don't want to do that. You want to hold it in one place. The more this movement, you never get this ridge. It's going to be very ridgy, and ridgy core is going to hit back of your hook, and it's going to be more ridgy. So you never get it right. So hold it nice and steady to start. And make sure this cut there is nice and flat and sits at the back of the hook. If this is not nice and flat, it's going to affect your next cut. If this ridge is too big, don't worry, cut it in the middle, make life much easier. And finish that ridge right to the end and come back and start that one. In this case, this ridge was quite big, so I'm happy I cut that in the middle. Much easier to turn. Go back there. The more I go in, the more I become more straight. I was like that before, but now I'm like a 90 degree. Because I want to go a bit more in that way. So hold the hook there. If you want to, hold it under your arm for a start to make sure you got that ridge. And I'm doing this cut. I'm pushing in and pushing up, doing this motion, but very subtle motion. Cutting this core is the most difficult part for beginners. Again, I'm trying to make this nice and flat for my next cut. So I have one more go. I go a bit more in. Then I sort this bit out, then I work on a bit more core side, then it gets thinner, then we can snap that. Now I know the center, the spike is kind of here. I don't want to go too much in there, but there is a still bit more there, so I can start from here if I want to. I know there is, the spark is there. I don't want to do anything more here, but I'm safe here to turn a bit more there. Now, if I have a smaller hook, tip down hook, I can use it to turn this bit at the end. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to sort this out with my finishing hook here. Then I will do more here. Okay. What I want to do here is that I want this bit be nice and smooth without catching like this bit. If I can go a bit more in like that, is even better. And to do that, you really need to have a round hook and use tip up hook. Tip down hook is going to catch this corner there and destroy the whole thing. So tip up hook, hold it there, nice and steady. Again, back of the hook is sitting there, and start gently. You start going in, and gradually you're coming out and turning that way, like a scoop. You're cutting the spoon, ball of the spoon, you're just scooping like this way. So I'm going in, and I'm coming out. When I am safe, I know I'm not catching this bit anymore. I can use this part of the hook like that, or that part, doesn't matter, because I'm not there anymore. It's safer. So I can just go there this time. And the ridge I made, I'm gonna push that ridge. I must come back, do more last finishing cut. If I'm very fussy, I can sharpen my hook again here. Not this one I haven't sharpened yet, but I can sharpen this again and just do the last finishing cut. But looks like this is sharp as doing its job, so I go all the way, nice and flat, and come back and do one more finishing cut. Yeah, I'm happy with this. I haven't damaged or anything, so far so good. So tip down hook, sorry, tip up hook, just go in a bit more. And I'm filling this bit, how much I got there, it's good amount. So I'm gonna turn all this bit there. Maybe a few cuts. I'm trying to make this plate as light as possible. I don't want to leave the bottom quite thick. And same time I want to have nice and deep portion here. If you want to use it for different food, you got, you know, yeah. I can go a bit closer this time. The closer I go, I have more control. Right till here. Because I finished here, I have nothing to do here. I can start there. And I have more control of my hook. So hopefully this is going to be last finishing cut. There is a little ridge there. I want to sort that out. Okay. Bit bumpy here. Here is fine. Bit bumpy there. I go back here and come all the way. There's a bit bump there, that's why I'm taking a bit more here to make it nice and flat. Okay, I'm happy with this finishing cut. I'm gonna do a bit more on core side, then you can snap that and carve the rest. So if you have a smaller hook, tip down hook, use that. In this case, I think I can use this because there is plenty space there. But if you have a very small core and you are worried about catching the spiky bit, use a smaller hook if you have. If not, that tip down hook, it will do. So start gently, make sure you're making that ridge. If you want to, hold it under your arm. But I want to make sure before I go deeper, I got that ridge sorted, because that's my guide. I can turn a bit more this side as well. When you turn in different things, you develop different hooks for every bits, really. If I had a little small core here and I want to make sure I snap right there, not anything else, I have a little hook, it just does that. It's a very old hook. As you can see, the tip is really almost nothing. But what it does, it just goes the place you want and turn that bit, and you want to snap that bit. Now this is the time you're going to take your time. Don't push too hard, don't catch, and make sure this cord is not there, kind of here. When I'm turning this, there's a pressure there. If I move this cord there, it's going to be pressure here and it's going to snap this before you finish it. So make sure this cord is there. And by just holding this tip down side, in this case, to be honest, it doesn't matter because it's tiny hook, even tip up will do. So just turning that bit you want. And you want to snap that bit there. I'm positive it's going to snap here. You ready?
Let's do it, man.
That's what I do. We done all the turning. We make sure this bit is nice and thin. Hopefully we're gonna snap that bit from there, and we're gonna carve the rest. Take it out, move the clamp, hold on to this, hit the wedge out. Now, the grain is obviously going this way. You're gonna hold it and pull it this way. Or if you're left-handed, hold it that way and pull it this way. It doesn't matter, as long as the grain is going nice and straight. In this case, you're going to snap this that way. Ready? We're going to carve this bit, and we're going to carve that bit, and we have a little, not little, but nice spalted plate. Okay, we have a little bit of carving here and there. It's a bit too much here. What I usually do, I axe out this bit. So I keep it somewhere nice and straight, like that, and with my axe just get rid of this bit, then carve the rest. I got Nick Westerman's hook knife for carving. I make sure I sit somewhere nice and comfortable, and I am carving across the grain. So grain is that way, I'm carving that way, and I hold this. Everybody is different. There is no right or wrong way. Everybody does differently, but I hold it nice and tight here, and my thumb is here, and I just carve this bit. If it's a bowl or box, sometimes I sit there and hold it between my leg and use two hands to carve this. But in this case, plate is, because it's flat, you need to just hold it. Most of the cut I get is that at the end of the day, when people carving this bit.
Oh really?
Yeah. Sometimes,
so even after the whole day?
Whole day, honestly, nothing happens there. At the end of the day, sometimes 4 people from 5, they cut themselves.
Oh wow.
By just holding the knife and just cutting this bit. I'm guessing some of them, they haven't used knife, and sometimes you are tired, you know, you're rushing to finish and all that.
So students walk away with a red bowl.
They do sometimes, yeah. That's why I keep my first aid kit there, just in case. So I don't mind showing a little knife finish at the bottom or inside my product. It shows it's turned and carved. Nothing wrong with that, as long as it's nice and flat. So as you can see from that angle, there is no bump there, and this is the flattest bit, sits on the table. I do the same things for inside. This time I can hold it 2 hands, hold it here, nice and steady, and just again cross the grain. You can use any spoon knife, Mora knife, whatever you have really. Come back this way, there's a little lump there, I want to sort that out. Bit of cleaning here and there, final touches. There you go.
So Ali,
Yes.
do you have two final things to talk about? So number one, drying. What's your process for drying at this stage?
It depends actually, the weather, what time of year and all that. But I keep it in cool place, not direct in the sun. This will dry in 2 weeks maximum. In this weather, maybe 1 week. Is not too thick and it's nice and even, so this will dry nicely. I haven't seen any crack on plate so far. Bowl sometimes, but plate, no crack, I haven't seen any. They usually dry nicely. Hopefully they don't move much. And oiling, I used to use linseed oil, but it's a bit smelly, people they don't like it. I use tongue oil with beeswax, sometimes tree takes. For end grain and stuff, I use Hasui ceramic finish, very expensive liquid, Japanese. I use that and all that. But usually it's like tongue oil. Sometimes if I have walnut oil, I use that, or tree takes.
So there you have it, my friends. That is a wrap for this video. Ali Asadi, well done.
Thank you, Zed.
I know he was so nervous in the run up to this video, and at the start of today, it's the first time he's ever been on video, let alone demonstrating on video, and just kind of like, and I get it, right? It's a difficult thing, you know,
I was a bit shaky, wasn't I?
You were really good, you know. No, I thought you were really, really good. I know, once again, it's expected, you know, the kind of the nervousness, you know, around it all. But you know what? I thought personally he did fantastic. You know, once again, he's a very talented guy. You know, he's very well respected as a teacher at a lot of the events throughout the UK, as well as kind of the independent workshops that he runs here. So overall, thank you so much. And this is the first time I've documented the making of a plate on my channel. So that's been fantastic to kind of have that covered. So I want to just do a kind of recap of a few things I also touched on at the beginning. As you can tell, obviously this is a very extensive video. So a reminder that all the different sections have been time stamped. But as you can see, obviously starting off from the very beginning, from literally a raw piece of wood all the way to a finished product, there were a lot of steps and micro steps along the way. So as mentioned, you hover along the timestamp, all the sections are broken down, but then also they are listed below in the description. And as I mentioned, YouTube has a cool feature. If you click on the times on the left-hand side, the video will jump straight to that section. The hope is with a video like this, it's a training resource for you. So whether you're watching just for an education, straight entertainment, all the way to someone, those of you out there that are looking to obviously follow along in some way, shape or form, the idea with this video is that it's a training resource for you, and you can find a section that is relevant to you. Also, as I mentioned at the very beginning, I have filmed a complete beginner's guide to turning on a foot powered lathe with Sharif Adams, and I've done other turning videos as well. What I'm going to do, the ones that are relevant to kind of bring you up to scratch with a project like this, I will link to those videos down below in the description. Also, in terms of workshops, so just kind of to recap, you teach here at your location in Stevenage, which is just outside London, but then also you teach around the country.
Sure.
At different places.
Yeah.
So where is the best place for people to find out more information about the teaching that you do?
I got my website, they can have a look, and I'm very active, unfortunately, on Instagram, so they can see what I'm doing, and I try to advertise my workshop stuff. Yeah, they can reach me. My phone number is there, they can call me or whatever.
So what I'm going to do, needless to say, is put a link below to Ali's website and Instagram. So on the website, what he does is he has a fair few of the dates that he's running workshops here at his location and around the country, but then also he's adding to that throughout the year as well. That being said, if you want to book private one-on-one or private kind of sessions where there's a group of you, feel free to get in touch with Ali. He does this full time, this is what he does, and no doubt he can accommodate kind of your requirements. Also, if you run events or you run schools here in the UK, but also maybe in continental Europe, and you want Ali to come down as an instructor in some way, shape or form, he's totally open to kind of like requests, and obviously you can talk about that in more detail with him. Once again, his website will be linked to below. That's where you can find out more information. And also, as Ali has just alluded to, you've got his Instagram profile. He's very active, and on there's a couple of things. Obviously you'll find out about the teaching and workshops that he's got going on, but then also when it comes to procuring one of Ali's beautiful items that he makes, he sells predominantly in person at events throughout the country and also here at his workshop. But then also, would I be right in saying that Instagram, as you're making things,
sure,
you kind of let people know on Instagram?
Yeah, sure, yeah, they can, I send them photos or videos if they want something. We can sort it out. I usually do send them sometimes. I don't like this whole process of making photos and things like that and send it. They don't see the real things. I prefer when people see it and touch it and feel it, and they choose the things they want. But if they like something, no problem, I can always sort it out. Yeah.
So Instagram, once again, website and Instagram is where you're going to find information about the courses and tuition Ali undertakes, but then also the selling of his wares. And one thing that we're hopefully going to do is hopefully this video being the start of a potential series ongoing where I'll come down to see Ali. We can maybe focus on different items. Once again, he's very talented at making a number of items, as you saw earlier on in the video. So that is our hope. If you want me to come back and see Ali, let me know in the description what it is you want to see. And then hopefully, I can get into conversations with Ali. If there's enough demand, then maybe we can tackle certain projects. In terms of tools, if you want tools, what I'm going to do is you can either come on a course with Ali and potentially have one sourced that way directly from Ali, or if you just want to buy one as is, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to put links below to different makers that you can contact here in the UK, continental Europe, as well as the US. You can hit them up directly and get that. And once again, I have done a film with Oliver Klotzek, another talented turner, on forging your own. And also, the making of a lathe. So if you want to make one yourself, then that is what Ali teaches. You can come down and build your very own lathe that you can pat down, take away, and use as you kind of move forward. The final thing I do want to touch on is for those watching that are going to try this themselves, maybe they've had a little bit of experience turning, or they're kind of completely brand new. What are some words of advice you would give to people?
If they're turning plates, choosing the right wood is important. Right diameter, right angle and stuff. But at the end, to be honest, it doesn't matter. If it's a little bit wobbly, it doesn't matter, go for it. Make a few plates, make mistakes. That's how you learn, really. But having the right wood and right hook, obviously, is important, yeah.
One thing, and I think we kind of touched on this earlier, I think Ali touched on this very briefly, but it's something I always stress in these kind of making videos, is if you're able to, I cannot stress the importance of buying makers' work. Ali, whoever else, right, that you like the look of. Because as you said, the holding of an item in person is way different to looking at pictures online.
Of course.
Be it plates, bowls, spoons, it could be leatherwork, it could be tools, it could be anything. But just having something in the hands gives you a whole different perspective of what to aim for, especially when it comes to green woodworking. And like you mentioned, you know, you can see it in person, you can see the subtlety, you can feel it. So as you're kind of working on things yourself, you can refer back to pieces that are done properly, like from Ali and other makers, and it gives you a good framework.
And you can copy that. That's what I usually do. I got almost anything from all the makers, and I look at it and try to make it, you know, not copy, I mean, but I learn from the. I have a flask here, it's antique. Honestly, that every time I watch, I learn something new. It's like a book. I just study every time. You know, that's the things, that's real things. I can't see this in the picture. You don't get that feeling, that. So yeah, get something and try to copy it and make it and repeat it and all that.
So there you go, guys. That is a wrap for this video. If you have watched all the way through, thank you so much. Really do you enjoyed this. You gained some valuable insights, and a sincere thank you to Ali once again for his hospitality during my visit down. Him and his wife are amazing cooks.
Lunch wasn't that bad,
lunch was amazing, and the cake as well. You know, look at that, he's spoiling me. Yeah. So, but his hospitality has been amazing. We've been very blessed to have a beautiful weather today, and he really does have a fantastic location. If you ever have the opportunity to come down in person to Ali's location,
please do so. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just it is really a beautiful location. He's got a fantastic setup that he's building now. So there you go, guys. So like I said, links to everything that I mentioned down below in the description. Really do hope you enjoy this video. The one final request I have from you is, if you gained any value from this video whatsoever, please head over to Ali's website just to have a look, but then also give him a follow on Instagram. Links to those will be down below in the description. It's just our way of saying thank you to Ali. And if you use anything outlined in this video, then it will mean the world to me and Ali if you could tag Ali on your social media so he can see anything that you've done on the back of this video. So there you go, guys.
Can I say something?
No, please go ahead. Please go ahead. Go for it.
It's been nearly 10 years that I'm doing this carving and turning. I want to just thank you, all these people. I don't want to mention name because I'm worried I'm going to miss someone and it's not fair. But they know who they are. I want to thank all of them. I've been in their workshop or using their videos or reading their books, talking to them. Honestly, it's been a fantastic community. They're always supporting me. People, they coming to my workshop or buying my stuff. All these people, I want to thank them, really. They've been really kind to me. This was like a dream. I never thought I'm going to be somewhere here and get up early in the morning and say, oh, I love to go to my place and do stuff and make stuff I love. So it's just because they've been supporting me, they've been helping me, and without anything, some of them, honestly, I asked so many questions, they were always there at the beginning to helping me, any kind. So I want to thank them and say they've been wonderful. And the other thing is, these people here, Steve and Ben, they've been really, really kind to letting me use this place. They could have said no, simply no, I could understand. But they support me in any way. People you saw the few people today, they always coming and giving me stuff and supporting me. All that kind of things made these things happen. And the last thing is you. When I was starting, I was watching your videos and learning a lot. I was doing tailoring and I was watching all the videos you were making again and again, spoon carving, bowl turning, everything, forging, everything really. And it was really, really great help. One day I can give this back. And same things I got from those videos, maybe other people, they have the same things, they learn some things, hopefully. And it's been fantastic. Thank you.
No, thank you as well. Thank you so much for your very kind words, and it's very decent of you to give that nod and acknowledgement to the other many tutors that are out there.
It's true, yeah.
You know, I'm always grateful on this channel to makers, Ali now being amongst them, the many, many makers that have openly shared their knowledge so that you can benefit in some way, shape or form. It's how we keep these crafts alive,
Of course.
how we spread the kind of the beauty behind these crafts. And it's amazing to see how it's growing.
Of course.
You know, the amount of people now. Turning was such a very niche thing a number of years ago, like a handful of people doing it. Now there's hundreds and hundreds of people.
For just things at the Bodger's Bowl, it was a log to bowl race. It was a 12-year-old kid in that log to bowl turning. 12 years old.
No way.
And he turned the bowl.
Wow.
That was amazing. When you see this kind of things, you see, wow, it is growing. You know, that's great. That's great.
That's it. So there you go. What a beautiful note to end on. Ali, thank you once again.
You're welcome.
For your hospitality and for your time and for sharing your knowledge so that others may learn.
Thanks for coming.
So there you go, guys. Once again, a final recap. I always do these final recaps like 5 times over. But basically, links to everything down below in the description. Really do hope you enjoyed this video and look forward to another installment of a Z Outdoors video. Until then, I hope whatever you're doing, you have a blessed day, a blessed week ahead. From Ali, Asadi and myself, Z Outdoors. Peace out.
Thanks.